Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of What is in Our Stand today. But today, nothing in the stand because this is more about my philosophy and my feelings of the shrinking bike industry and why a bike shop and why knowledgeable people, salespeople, and human interaction is um, still a valid thing to have. It's still relevant and we must still have it. So, thank you for tuning into my channel. I appreciate those of you who have subscribed. I do apologize that I don't frequently post. I'm one man shop, so I do all the sales, all the marketing, I do all the service on bicycles, I do all of the inventory reconciliation, I do all the accounting, the payments and the receivables and making sure that people are still paying me and all that. So I apologize that I don't post frequently enough, but when I do get an opportunity for a few minutes, I come back on. So please hit that subscribe button, smash that little bell icon so that you can get a notification whenever I get a bright idea, which I stole that from someone else, but whenever I get a bright idea, or in this case, when I choose to vent to the general public. So thank you for tuning in, and I do appreciate that you've come by. So I want to talk about what happened yesterday afternoon. I had a gentleman who called and said, hey, do you remove cranksets? Do you do that type of service, bike service? I said, sure, I do. And the gentleman, and I said, he asked me for a quote. I said, well, I won't really know until I see the bike and what type of crankset. And I can tell right there he had a little bit of lack of knowledge of the equipment that was on his bike. Brings the bike in. It's an FSA crankset, and it's an ISIS style bottom bracket. And this is important because he has purchased a Shimano Stages left crank arm, and that's what he wants to install. Well, I think you've already got the gist of this. It's an FSA crankset on his bike, and he purchased a Shimano 105 left crank arm, a Stages power meter, and these two things are not compatible. Apple, Droid, PC, Mac, they're just not compatible. So I'm looking over the bike, I'm looking at the power meter he has in his hand, and just to strike up a conversation, I asked, how did you come about the Stages power meter? And he gave me a few reasons, and then finally I said, well, basically, where did you buy it? How did you get it? Not so much as to the reasons why. Like, for example, yes, it's a power meter. Yes, it's affordable, so on and so forth. And he tells me he bought it on eBay. So I didn't really get from the gentleman whether it was a used crank arm, but either way, he bought it on eBay. Well, the situation is even a little bit more involved because the cases, or the Stages crank arm that he purchased was a 175 millimeter crank length, and the FSA crank set that he had installed on his bike was a 180 millimeter. So for those of you not in the cycling world, you can't have one crank arm longer than the other, unless, I guess if you have a really, really bad leg length discrepancy, I guess you could do that. Typically, that's just shimmed underneath your cleat to kind of make both your left and right legs the same, even though you have a leg length discrepancy. But so basically had a 180 millimeter crankset on his bike, and then he had a 175 Stages power meter that he purchased. So we have a lot of compatibility issues. The first being that they're two different brands, and the next being that he has two different length crank arms. Now, it's funny now to kind of talk about it because I've I've kind of sorted him out. I've explained to him what we need to do, and in this case, we're going to have to purchase a a Shimano crankset to put on his bike, but we're also going to have to buy a bottom bracket because the FSA is an ISIS style bottom bracket, and the Shimano, of course, uses a different style of bottom bracket. So this little experiment of him going out on his own, buying a power meter. His coach told him to buy a power meter, which is a great thing. Power meters are, in my opinion, essential to training properly. He's a triathlete that's moving from shorter distances to longer distances. But either the coach should have guided him a little bit further, or he should have come to a bike shop. He purchased something that he can't use. He purchased something that's the wrong size. He purchased something that's the wrong system. And like a babe in the woods, he actually didn't know that he did it incorrectly and didn't even know how to sort out the incompatibility issues that he has. So this is where I say that I know that there are some bike shops out there that do not treat their customers well, or maybe the owner knows proper customer care and how to treat a customer professionally, but their sales staff may be lacking, or maybe that particular salesperson may be having a bad day and someone has had a bad experience at a bike shop and then not returned. Sometimes that's all it takes is one bad experience, and then you just don't shop there anymore. And that's a sad situation for that bike shop, but also for the bike industry as a whole. Now, retail, as we know, Amazon and several other online, the facility of shopping online and all these things, they're really crushing the retail market. I know that malls have been closing all around the country, but what's more near and dear to me is bike shops. I've been in business now for 7 years, since 2013. And in my local San Diego area, I have seen 19 bike shops go out of business. And that of course includes a few bike shops that have closed, reopened under a new owner, closed again, and reopened under the new owner. So that's where that tally comes from of 19. That also includes 3 performance bike shops. So this is a nationwide bicycle store that closed, I guess, 100 locations or something. But so we have Amazon, we have eBay, we have some of these other things. And then, of course, we've also got even brick and mortar locations that have an online presence. And so a lot of people shop there because of the discounts or something. But I still want to emphasize the fact that if you can find a reputable local bike shop to do business with, someone who actually still rides, like myself, someone who tests equipment out before they recommend it to our customers, like myself, someone who really, really takes every customer and treats them with kid gloves just to ensure that that customer gets the best customer service, has the best experience, and sees the value in the brick and mortar, sees the value of supporting that local bike shop. Those are the things and those are the shops that you should be looking to do business with. Now, there are states and cities and towns that don't have a bike shop within reach, and I've dealt with some of these customers. They tell me, oh, I have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to a bike shop or 2 hours away. And so I understand the facility and the ease of which you could be, sitting at home at 10 o'clock at night and all of a sudden decide you want to buy something and you just log on and get it done. But, a shop like mine, I'm small, I'm a one-man shop, but I can get you anything you need if I just have about 12-hour notice. So that's my rant for today, and I want to make sure that you understand that really I just want people to support their local bike shops. These are business owners who are in your community. And actually, I'll share a little something with you as well. One of my customers got me this guy here, and I thought it was pretty funny, but true as well. So we support local activities, community activities, and we like to be involved in our community. And I'm just another member of the community. I just happen to own a bike shop. So please, if you have a friend who maybe just all he does is shop online, he or she could be part of the problem with the retail industry just going through all this turmoil. And really, in the end, but actually, one more thing. So I am a Chase customer, Chase Bank, and from time to time, I do frequent McDonald's, and these kiosks are going up where they've reduced either the number of tellers or they've reduced the people at the counter at like McDonald's. And I still walk up to the counter and I still want to have social and human to human interaction. Maybe I'm old school, maybe I don't want to change. It's funny though, I have an iPhone, I have technology as well. I have been a power meter and Di2 on my bikes since 2003. But I'm sorry, Di2 was 2009, but a power meter since 2003. So yes, I adopt technologies where necessary, but when it comes to human interaction and when it comes to having a conversation and a dialogue with someone and valuing their professional advice, I'm still old school. I still like to interact with people. So here I am interacting with you through a social media platform, but fact still remains, bike shops are relevant. Local bike shops are relevant, and do your best to keep those bike shops in business. And that's all I have for today. And thank you. Please subscribe. See you on the road.